Okay? It's just true. Like, there is no, that is the reason why Andre X, who is a Jewish from Ukraine, who went to Israel when Russia invaded Ukraine, who became an anti-Zionist activist, can just go to the West Bank and put his body as a Jew in the West Bank between the IDF and the settlers and the Palestinians.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Bassem podcast. This is actually our very first live ever done. It's an interesting one for our first live, but
we're making history.
We're making history. We have Steiny here, and I want to welcome Bassem Youssef to the Bassem podcast. Thank you for being with us. How you doing?
Thank you for having me, guys.
Of course. Obviously, last week was controversial for us, to say the least. We had someone on the podcast, very controversial, as I said, to say it in the least form. What was your reaction when you saw that we had Benjamin Netanyahu on the full?
Well, I didn't know about I am sorry to say, like, because I'm not your demographic, so I didn't know who the NELK boys is. But like, I found my DMs exploding. It's like, did you see what the NELK boys did? It's like, who the hell the NELK boys? And then I didn't know that you're that big. I'm sorry. Again, I'm not your targeted demography, so I apologize for my ignorance. So and then I started following what's going on and the aftermath. And I being in the public eye for 15 years, I understand what does it mean to be in a very tough situation, and now trying to crawl out of that situation. It's difficult, especially with the backlash, because the bigger you are, the bigger the backlash. And well, I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of people, when they knew that I'm on the podcast, like, yeah, go there, do them, F them. And I said, like, there's nothing to gain from just canceling people without knowing what went wrong. Because I think it is better to actually learn from what's happening and look at the bigger picture, instead of just, like, destroying two young people like you, because that doesn't serve anybody, right? It makes people happy that you guys are falling, but the bigger picture is, why did this happen? And why was this, were you used? Part of you is your responsibility, and part of you not knowing. So I heard many of the justification that happened, saying that, well, it was a great opportunity, and I'm like, wouldn't you like get him on the podcast? I said, yes. If somebody told me, would you interview Netanyahu? I was like, hell yeah, but I'll be prepared. And I think the biggest part of you, that you were not prepared. 2 years under, like, the biggest in our history, you guys had no idea what's going on. If somebody told me, hey, you're gonna be tomorrow on the starting five of the Lakers in the NBA, it's like, that's a great opportunity, but I'm not prepared. I'm not going to make a fool out of myself. Mm-hmm. So it's not about you platforming someone or someone giving a chance for free speech. You were used, right? And it didn't start with the podcast. It started 2 years ago in March 2023 when you went to Israel, because I know, like I told you, that Israel has increased their Hasbara budget, which is their propaganda machine, with $150 million, and part of that money goes to influence people in college campuses, hire influencers like you, getting them into fancy trips to Israel, giving them this filtered, layered picture that is made up, that is fake. I mean, I watched it yesterday, and I was cringing, not because like you're showing how cool Israel is, or they have nightclubs.
You're saying our NELK video in Israel?
Yeah. So, because when you mentioned Palestine, do you remember? We're going to a place that is so dangerous now. Palestine. And then you are in a bus, and then like special forces come in and kidnap you, and this kind of like IDF simulation, counterterrorism. And then they're telling you, we have a dog that only breeded in Israel. It can kill a man. And you understand that, like, the kind of psychopathic behavior of a country that, like, tells you, like, part of its, like, tourist attraction, that we're killing terrorists and we're breeding dogs to kill human beings. And by the way, I don't know, part of the anger is like, just last year there was like a kid with autism and Down syndrome that was killed by one of these dogs. And then the next seen is, let's go and see Palestinian family. And the only Palestinian family in this video are just like a bunch of Bedouins in a tent, a guy who's married 2 wives, and he tells you, my whole life is about camels and goats and chicken. And then you find like a 60 years old one, I just live on pita bread and milk. So even if October 7th didn't happen, you were used in a propaganda machine to tell people this is what you need to know about Palestinians. They're just like a bunch of people with cows and goats marrying 2 people, living in a tent, happy with the pita bread and milk. So you were recruited in March 2023 and you were activated in July 2025, right? So, and I'm saying this because I'm saying this out there for all of the influencers around there, because there's a lot of people got backlash. There's influencers who went there like wearing IDF. It's like, we didn't know what was going on. Like he was like, I didn't know I'm kissing a Jewish wall.
I mean, yeah, I can definitely admit that. I mean, I think we were both just ignorant to what was going on over there. And obviously, you know, I knew he was, I'll be honest, I thought he was controversial, but I was definitely ignorant to what was going on in that area. And I can admit that. And it was definitely, I wish we could have gone back and, you know, had 2 weeks to sit down with someone like yourself and just, we should have grilled him 50,000, 100,000 times harder, but something we can't get back, and we'll probably always regret
Of course,
that,
but I know you can't get back this like trip in Israel, but I'm just telling you, this was like part of a much bigger propaganda effort, right? And a country that spends $150 million on its image, they are covering something. They when they spread all of these propaganda, it's like, we're not starving people in Gaza. You understand that this conversation has been happening for 2 years. First of all, I'm not absolving you from your trip. You guys are not little kids. You are 30 years old, right? People in your age have families and they have a career, and you need to stop. I'm just saying this because you're my little brothers, but you're not little, right? You need to stop infantilizing yourself. It's like, we're just stupid people doing stupid stuff. You're 30 years old and you need to be aware of what's happening in the world, and that your reach and your platforms mean something and it affects people. And I think the biggest reason why people were so upset for you, not because you brought someone and you didn't contest him, that it is the talking point that he used is the same talking points that have been used for 2 years to kill thousands of people, right? So, but I mean, and part of the reason why people were so angry is that, forget, even if you don't know anything about the conflict, there was like a total lack of critical thinking. I mean, you guys asked him the one good question when you told them in October 7th, how could this be allowed to happen? Everybody knowing that Mossad is like a crazy, intelligent thing that infiltrates people and put bombs in pages. How did you not see that coming? But also, a critical thinking is, how come an attack was allowed for 6 hours in the most heavily surveilled part in the world? You understand, like in 2019, they killed like hundreds of people just because they approached the wall between Gaza and Israel. You understand? They killed. You have like copters, like drones. You have snipers. Suddenly, for 6 hours, you remember what Netanyahu told me? How big is Israel? He told me it's like as big as Rhode Island.
As Jersey, right?
Yeah. Like you understand the distance between Gaza and Tel Aviv is 44 miles. You understand that, like, he was just bragging to you that, like, hey, we went across 3 countries to bomb Iran, but you can't have a single helicopter coming out to defend your people. Like the October 7th was used in order to tell people, look to the Jewish people that were killed. But you don't understand that you pay $millions of dollars as Americans, as Canadians.
I think that October 7 was hubris and racism more than it was like deliberately a deliberate way to allow Palestinians to kill like Israelis so that they could finalize their ethnic cleansing campaign. There are people who believe this. There are people who think like, oh, it was an inside job, like 9/11, you know? But I know Israeli society. I know what would be allowed and what wouldn't be allowed. They didn't need they didn't need like 6 hours of killings to take place for them to be geared up for this ethnic cleansing campaign. They didn't. The troop positions, there are like suspicious things that happened on that morning. I think ultimately, even if they knew, which of course they knew, there's no way they didn't know, by the way. Egypt warned them ahead of time. Unit 8200 was directly surveilling the training that was taking place. But what I mean is, I don't think they thought it would be this deadly. That's where the hubris comes in. That's where the racism comes in. Where I do not think that the Israeli administration, the security apparatus, thought that Palestinians, the Palestinian resistance forces, were capable of doing this much damage. Okay? They thought at most maybe a couple hostages, maybe a little bit of a resistance, maybe a couple soldiers died in the process, and then they can use that as a reason to continue conducting like this final push, this big push. That's where I think the racism and the hubris plays a role. Mismanaging troop positions by focusing them over to the West Bank because they were too busy doing ethnic cleansing in the West Bank and allowing the Itamar Ben-Gvir forces to continue doing pogroms in the West Bank. That part is real. That's another, again, that's another aspect to the with the assumption that I think that Palestinians would just never be capable of like holding that many hostages, that many Israeli hostages, break through the security barrier, and successfully conduct a massive military operation. Because like, you have to remember, you have to put yourself in the shoes, in the mindset of like a supremacist. Okay? If you're a white supremacist, for example, a black person being in the vicinity of a white woman is already enough of a scar, right? That's why they hate race mixing. Comprehended. They're like, how could this have happened? This is like a stain on the entire white race. Like the fact that these people that have been kept caged in perpetuity, that have been actively dehumanized, were capable of crafting a military operation that took such an unimaginably high death toll from regular Israeli society alongside the Israeli military was a breaking point for a lot of supremacists, okay? And this includes liberal Zionists as well, because Zionism is an inherently ethno-religious supremacist ideology. I think it's also true that the Israeli security establishment felt that Hamas was not a nationalist force, but a self-interested political org. They thought they had deterred Hamas through enough military action and bribery without realizing that Hamas could not be bought like the PA. I think that probably is a part of the calculation as well. But this wasn't just Hamas. This was the coalition of Palestinian resistance forces. This was literally every single group. Every single group that has any kind of like military acting in unison. So I think that the yesterday you said 800 civilians died during October 7th, yet I heard Bassem Youssef saying 370. No, it's not 370. It's 800. It's 800 civilians, 400 soldiers. I don't know what he's saying. I don't know why he's saying 370, but it's 1,200 total. Now, of course, in the civilian death toll, we do not know how much of the civilian death toll is how much of the civilian death toll was born out of Israel's Hannibal directive. Like how much of that was the helicopter shooting at the cars escaping the Nova Festival, and how much of that was the shelling from the tanks at the Kibbutzim? We do not know. But he might be counting IDF veterans as like soldiers too, which they're not. They're not. It doesn't matter. No. That's what Israel claims. That's bullshit. That's what Israel does for Palestinians. They say, oh, you're affiliated with Hamas, the political party. Like, no. Just because someone is an IDF veteran doesn't mean that they were an enemy combatant, chatters. There's a reason. There's a legal designation between a civilian, okay? The proper term, veterans are not active combatants, okay? They're not. Nazi veterans were cool then, right? No, you're being stupid. This doesn't matter. I am talking specifically about the legality, okay? They're not. It's just not how, it's not even relevant to the point that I'm making, but they're just not, okay? Just as Hamas militants that are in hospital are not valid military targets. They're not. They're not in battle. You cannot just go into a hospital and kill someone who fought alongside Hamas. You cannot do that. Okay? And I mean like an active duty. Like a dude who is literally in Hamas when they are no longer fighting and they're in a hospital, you can't kill them. That's technically the rules. Not that Israel listens to those rules. So it's not even that you're like no longer active duty, that you're a veteran. Like it doesn't matter. What did this guy say? 90% of your commentary, Grok. Did he do a Grok hit? Did he try to at Grok here? 90% of your chatters use Grok to fact check real facts. How dare you? How dare you say that?
To protect those Jewish people. So it's not just like an intelligence failure. It was a deliberate way to let people get slaughtered. And what did he tell you when you asked him what happens? Like, we're still investigating it. Really investigating it for 2 years? You don't know how people for 6 hours continued to kill people? That's why when people...
I mean, the reason why they can't investigate it any further is because, let's be real, the Hannibal Directive that Yoav Gallant admitted was utilized on October 7 means that they killed a bunch of the Israeli civilians, okay? That is literally true. That is undeniable. We do not know what the percentage of the civilian death toll came from the Israeli military itself, but no one can dispute that the Israeli military killed a bunch of Israeli civilians on October 7. This is the reason why they can't do a full-blown investigation. Also because they relied heavily on just lying about what took place on October 7 over and over again. In spite of all of the atrocities, the actual atrocities that took place, it wasn't enough. They had to just like make shit up. Like, oh, they put babies in ovens and decapitated. Oh, what the? This is the, wow. This never happened before. That's crazy. What the hell? What the hell? What the heliante? I spat too hard. This has never happened to me before. It's been years and I've used this microphone for years and years. And I just finally pulled it off of its thing. I just dropped the mic. Years of slowly coming loose, finally came to a tipping point. I was here. Yeah, I know. This has been years and years in the making. Anyway, that's part of the reason. That's the real reason why they don't want to investigate it.
We went on other people's podcasts and they told you, guys, they used the Hannibal Directive. They killed their own people. And I sent you all of the stuff. What was your reaction? Dude, that's conspiracy. Again, people were angry because you didn't read what's going on there, right? Israel uses something called blitzkrieg. You know what's blitzkrieg? It means flash attack. This is what the Nazi did. They do like a very coordinated attack very quickly, very fast. And it's like very simple messaging. Decapitated babies, mass rape, right? So there's an emotional response. People get so angry. And then after a couple of days, everybody goes back to their Netflix, to their UFC fight, to the NBA. And the people who stay, it's like, wait a minute, that is up. That didn't happen. There are so many plot holes. Already, most of the people has already went back to their lives. So the people who stay and hold them accountable will be called fringe, obsessed, anti-Semitic, conspiracy theory. Like you said, oh, dude, this is conspiracy theory. It's not. And this is why I have like sent you all of the videos so you can be educated. When you were on a podcast and they were telling you, dude, they spit on Christians in Israel. It's like, I was in Israel, nobody spit on me. Yes, of course, because you were in a curated propaganda.
Yeah, also, you're Jewish. I mean, Kyle isn't, but like, that's the one thing. Like, you can get away with a lot as a Jewish person in Israel. Like, you have to literally be like Norm Finkelstein to not be allowed into the state. Okay? Now, maybe post-October 7 things might have changed a little bit in terms of like anti-Zionist Jews and like how much they're allowed into the state, but like it's a supremacist state, okay? And because it's a supremacist state, because Zionism is an ethno-religious supremacist attitude, yeah, when you're Jewish, even if you're like Israel can suck my dick, Israel still has limitations on what it will do to you, okay? It's just true. Like that is the reason why Andre X, who is a Jewish from Ukraine, who went to Israel when Russia invaded Ukraine, who became an anti-Zionist activist, can just go to the West Bank and put his body as a Jew in the West Bank between the IDF and the settlers and the Palestinians. Oh, he's from Russia. Sorry, I thought he was from Ukraine. Like, this is the other side of supremacist attitudes. Okay. The other side of supremacy is that the messenger being Bassem is a poison pill for a lot of their audience should have been a Gabor Mate or Ilan Pape. Ilan Pape is never going on the NELK boys. And I suggested Gabor Mate to them. They didn't go with it. And many people, there was no shot that they were getting a Palestinian. Okay. I told them that. Don't say, or maybe a Palestinian. What Palestinian? DJ Khaled? What Palestinian would go on the NELK boys after they interviewed literally Adolf Hitler? Are you guys crazy? It's like demanding that a Jewish person, or it's like asking a Jewish person during the Holocaust to go on a show after Adolf Hitler was interviewed. Like, what? That's crazy. You just said comparing them to Nazis was wrong. I'm so confused. Wait, what? IDF, not Nazis, though. Don't worry. What? When did I ever say that? I have been comparing the IDF to the Nazis. I have been comparing Israel to Nazi Germany. I've been comparing Zionism to Nazism. What the? Hello? Are you serious? It's like the #1 thing that people yell at me about, where they're like, "Oh, how dare you do that? That's it's hurting my feelings." They're both fascists. They are both fascist, ethno-supremacist ideologies that have a desire to exterminate the outgroup. If you cannot call Israel Nazis, then there is no reason to learn about the Holocaust. Like, why do we learn about the Holocaust? Why do we learn about the Nazis? Why do we learn about how society became far too comfortable with this kind of extermination, how they turned a blind eye to it? If we can't use it as an example when it's happening in real time. What? That you think IDF does not equal Nazis, but your point was about what? Oh, it was the veterans. Oh, he was like hyper focusing on, yeah, he was hyper focusing on the veterans, like non-active combatants. Yeah, I don't think you can deliberately go and kill inactive combatants. If you want to do that, you could do that through the court of the law. And we were also talking about legality regardless. What the? Also, it ultimately doesn't even matter because, like, once again, people don't even understand. Like, people did not realize the severity of the crimes of the Nazi Holocaust until the camps were liberated. People get a pretty good idea of what Israel's doing.
Machine that showed you one thing about Israel. Do you remember when you were like in that bus and there was a guy with a scarf? It's like, oh, that guy with a scarf, like that. I don't know if you or someone of your friends said, he looks suspicious. It's not that cold. So the only representation of Palestinian are either people staying in a tent or a suspicious guy with a scarf. And I don't know who edited that. If it seemed like Mossad edited it, and if you guys have edited, that is up, because it just like it solidifies the same racist tropes about a group of people that.
I mean, Miriam Adelson has been up their ass for a long time. Like, she literally, I think she was the one who made them do the Israel video. He said the Mossad edit.
Being slaughtered and starved to death right now. And then they distract you with questions like, it is Hamas. It's the people, they're not allowing aid in. And you understand that this is the same exact conversation that's been happening for 2 years. They bomb hospitals. It's not us. Yeah. It's Hamas. Oh, it's us. But there were Hamas underneath it. It's maybe a mistake. Then after bombing hospitals, they bomb schools. And then they bomb entire residential areas. Then they kill women and children. And now, 2 years later, we're discussing the same question, but like, are we starving them or is it?
Why are you assuming it was her? No, I know. I forget who told me, but I think she might even literally show up in the video at some point. I also think that she played a role in this BB interview too. Miriam Adelson, Sheldon Adelson's wife, not made them. I mean, like, facilitated it. Also, she's insanely powerful and also singularly invested in doing Hasbara and also up the Dallas Mavericks. So
Hamas starving them. You see the cycle of deceit, the cycle of lies, the cycle of propaganda. So that's why I'm not coming here to say like, oh, they are starving, because I'm not going to go after each and every single lie that he said, because it's exhausting. And they have been doing that for 2 years. So I'm here in the bigger picture to understand that you were sitting with a narcissistic, psychopathic liar that used to gaslighting people and lie them to them in their faces.
Yeah, I want to say too, yeah, we obviously, one thing that hurt me the most when we had him on was just, I have a lot of personal, friendships and stuff from people of all religions. And a lot of people were obviously just upset, and they're messaging me personally, like friends, and saying, why did you have him on and stuff? So when I told them that—
He means UFC fighters. He means Habib. He means like literally half of the UFC roster that are all from Dagestan, who was like, what the are you doing, brother? What are you doing, brother? Like, that's it. Because every one of those dudes hates Israel.
We're having you on to explain us the bigger picture. They're all very excited. So honestly, we just want to learn about this, and we obviously just
Imagine Khabib mad at you. I mean, you got to end it before he ends it. You know what I mean? He's going to come after you.
want to use our platform to educate people.
What do you want to learn about?
I mean, I think it would just be good for you to talk about what Netanyahu said and explain us.
Half Dagestan, the other half anti-Semitic MAGA. Also, Dagestan is anti-Semitic MAGA. So it's full anti-Semitic MAGA then. You just described Dagestan when you said anti-Semitic MAGA. They are literally so far up the MAGA train, dude. Are you kidding me? I've never seen dudes that are more like, how dare you defame the ghost like that? Bro, I'm sorry. I love those guys. They're fantastic. I think they're very cool. I really respect how much effort they put into their work. Okay. Having said all of that, I've never met a bunch of dudes who are so good at grappling, who literally would most likely be like chemical engineers if it wasn't for this tweaker ass focus that they have on wrestling, who are clearly very smart. Okay. They are insanely smart. They obviously are so smart that they recognize how important it is to do PR, for example. They all speak English, like almost perfectly. That all implies that these are in other circumstances, they would have just been like a chemical engineer, okay? I've never seen a group of dudes like this be so pro-Palestine and also be like pro-MAGA at the same time. Okay.
You know,
Well, one thing I said about the October 7th, like, you know, he, and I like not just October 7th, is the way that he dehumanized the whole population. Remember when he told me, how can young people march in the streets with people who...
When are you going to Dagestan? 2-3 years. You go Dagestan, you come back, you become good grappler. I would go.
kill gays? And then he used this like overplayed lame jokes like gays for Gaza is like chicken core for KFC, and it's just like he keeps saying it in everywhere, and he just like, it sounds stupid. And they tell me they are like they would kill women if they're not in hijab. So this guy who pretends that he cares about gays and women, and I send you the articles, like how they have actually used revenge porn in order to recruit gay people.
Yep. But that's too complicated. Just tell them Palestinians are gay. There's gay Palestinians. They're all getting killed. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Like, they don't give a shit about anti-Semitism. You don't have to explain to them that, like, the Israeli security forces are using revenge porn against, like, gay Palestinians in an effort to turn them into collaborators. And it's not just, like, gay Palestinians. They're doing it to straight Palestinians, too. They're doing it to all of them. They're literally blackmailing them and doing revenge porn. They're, like, hacking into their phones. They're actually filming them. Filming and doing gay acts and shit like that. Also, gay marriage is illegal in Israel. It's not recognized by the state. You can't get gay married inside of Israel. You have to go to Cyprus. That's another thing. What else? Also, the only anti-sodomy law that exists in Gaza is a holdover from British Mandate Palestine when the British were in charge. And homosexuality has not been illegal in the West Bank for forever, pretty much. So the idea that like Palestinians are homophobic doesn't mean, even if they literally were like the most homophobic on the planet, that still doesn't justify ethnically cleansing them. That's number one. And number two, the idea that like society doesn't contain multitudes here and they're just like really, really homophobic towards the other Palestinians who happen to be queer is ridiculous. They are just simply using it as a talking point because people don't think about it beyond that.
They go into Grindr and Facebook and Instagram. Like I think you have the headlines.
The IDF goes on Grindr.
Yeah. They actually pick those gay people and then they use revenge porn in order to hire them as informants. You have that? Whoa. Yes. So over the past several months, I spoke to there's a lot of queer Palestinians that actually been used by the IDF in order to actually hire them as informants. And then the same guy who cares about women and children, he already killed more than 28,000 women and children in the last.
Yeah. Also, that's the only time when collaborate, like when they say they're executing gay people, they're not executing gay people. They're executing collaborators, which is, again, up. I get it. I understand. But there has never been, throughout any sort of historic resistance against colonial violence, has there ever been a non-execution method for collaborators. That's never happened. America itself has the Espionage Act. Why does the Espionage Act exist? It's because it was implemented during times of war. Even the United States of America executes collaborators. It's that simple. So it's not like, you know, this is not me saying like this is cool and great. I'm not saying that at all. But the point is, there's never been a historic, there's never been any kind of form of government that has not executed collaborators. Okay. The ANC used to literally do the practice of necklacing, as we talked about already, where they would fill a tire with gasoline and then place it around the necks of collaborators and then light it on fire. Ukraine executes collaborators all the time. Everybody does.
Less than a year and a half. And again, they use revenge porn. There's even a movie about it made by like an Oscar-nominated director. He's a Palestinian, and it's called Hoda Salon. And they
Hamas executed a Hamas commander who was gay. He wasn't executed for being gay, though. Him being gay was not a secret. He was executed for stealing government funds. That's unjustifiable also, but they also don't murder people for being gay. Yeah. No, Israel, what is a collaborator? What do they do? What do you mean? Like, look at Yasser Abu Shabab. He is a collaborator. He is of Palestinian descent. He is a Palestinian that works with the Israeli forces. He gets other Palestinians to also work with the Israeli forces. He's a traitor. What do you mean? What is a collaborator? Do we just not know what words mean now? Dude, Google it. Like, a person that works with Israel to kill Palestinians. Okay?
Talk about like how for very many years they have spiked women's drinks in beauty salons in order to shoot them and film them in compromised position and then use them or use their husbands.
Yeah, they say Sinwar tortured gay Gazans. They mean Mahmoud Ishtiwi, a Salafi Wahhabi dog who worked for Israel. Sinwar did indeed had him killed for good reason. No, like, oh, dude, you need to stop. Okay, you are so consistently like, dude, I'm American, okay? I'm in the United States of America. I'm talking to Americans, okay? You need to stop. I don't want to ban you, but god damn, dude, you are so crazy, dude. Just actually, you know what? I am going to ban you. Jesus Christ, dude. Jesus Christ, dude. This chatter is so consistently such an annoying burden in the chat. Just a betrayer of any sort of cause. Read the room, man. Read the room. Read the room. Now, I know for a fact you're going to become an enemy. You are going to become an enemy of mine in perpetuity. I know. You have the exact same resilience and attitude that a lot of my former chatters have. I know for a fact. I cannot wait for you to be like an ACP guy later down the line. Villain arc unlocked. Hasan is a collaborator. He's a Zionist. He loves Israel. He loves America because he wouldn't let me run my mouth in his chat. Okay? I know. Let this be an opportunity for you to recognize who you are talking to. Okay? Please. It's so goddamn annoying when people just like you could have explained it normally. Okay? You can explain certain things normally. You don't have to literally take this attitude when you're describing certain shit. Okay? Just dial it back. This is a long story. No, I don't want to get into it. It's a chatter that I'm familiar with, and he is consistently yelling at me all the time, and has in the past said more insane shit.
And informants. So you understand the level of pathology and the level of narcissistic behavior, the level of evil these people are doing, and then they have the audacity to come and talk about gay people and talk about women. This is crazy, man. You understand? And when I went and I sent you that stuff in order to look and verify, and this is why the reason we're doing this in live, because I invite anybody to fact check everything that I say as we go on.
So you're saying they're recruiting gay people from Palestine and using them?
That's happening a lot in the West Bank, yes.
well. So what about some of the stuff Netanyahu said? I know this is for you is probably basic, but what he said, we asked him if he was purposely starving people in Gaza, and he said Hamas is stealing the food.
It's interesting that we would actually take the war of an indicted war criminal and a guy who's been caught lying many times. Like, for example, when he say Iran is days away from creating a nuclear bomb, and there's
what do you suggest groups do with infiltrators and collaborators? I agree with you on most. No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. Like I'm explaining to you what the purpose behind it is. Okay, it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. Everyone has done it. There's every single resistance movement has done this. I'm even describing to you what the purpose is and why they do it. Okay, you don't have to go beyond that. Okay, you don't have to literally feel like this is the most moral thing to do. It's the best. I love it. Shut the fuck up.
Videos of the internet of him saying many times, oh, Iran is like 5 months away, 3 months away. And you understand, when you asked him about like Iraq, oh, he said, oh, that's unfortunate. And yet he has a video saying Iraq is month away of creating weapons of mass destruction.
I've
and
seen
you remember,
that video. I've seen the video of him talking about Iran.
Yeah, so you see a guy that, like, if you have a friend, Steiny, and if you have a friend that consistently lies to you and he caught up lying, when would it be enough to say, okay, that guy, I'm not going to take anything he says? Now, the thing about like him saying we're not starving, it's Hamas. There's also some of the articles that I send you. There is like multiple articles of Israel killing aid workers, UN workers, saying that they are Hamas. You know, they have killed over like, I don't know the number, 100, 200 people of aid workers. They are like lining people in aid lines and then they are killing them. When they tell you,
so people that are not even involved in the conflict, they're aid workers.
I think the number is like they killed over 180 doctors, or it's just it's the numbers is like so big now you can't even like catch up with the numbers. And I was in London. They were playing the world premiere of a documentary called Doctors Under Attack. And it shows you, it's a documentary done by the BBC, by the way. It shows you how, it's good there. Yeah.
It says over 400 Palestinians.
So, and of course, it's very easy to say, oh, the United Nations is anti-Semitic. Everybody is anti-Semitic. Everybody is lying. And the only one who's not lying is Netanyahu, right? So those people that...
So like this one, for example, is this like a bombing, or is this just like they're coming and like gunning them down?
They're gunning them down. They're using drones and killing them. There's even like a whistleblower that came a couple of days ago who was working with the aid groups, and he said like, there's like a little kid who came and kissed our hands because we gave him food, and as he was walking away, the IDF shot him in the head. It's crazy, man.
And this was like almost a month ago, not only.
Yeah. So
400 people, those are civilians.
Yeah, but that's that number gets updated by the minute right now. It's, you can just like, you can go through the headlines if you want, but the reason I'm like showing you this is that
honestly kind of impressed with these kids. They got really humbled and are trying to learn. That's difficult to do, brother. They're doing it because their entire audience yelled at them. Okay, if their audience was like, sick, I can't wait to chew on lung darts with their kids, by the way, they're 30. All right, come on. It's ultimately good that this is happening. It's ultimately good that this conversation is taking place, because this audience should hear this conversation this conversation should take place. And people are just shitting on Steiny because apparently he didn't say anything throughout the entire process. I noticed he hasn't said anything in the 18 minutes. So
Israel is the only one who has the absolute control of getting aid in and out. And I know that you've seen on the internet, they're showing their soldiers. Here's the aid sitting here. The UN is not taking them. Dude.
No, I haven't talked to them. I haven't talked to Kyle at all. I don't know Kyle. I know Steiny, but I've texted him a bunch of people that would potentially be interviewed. People that I myself have interviewed as well. They didn't go with those suggestions. They went with Bassem Youssef, which is fine. I mean, he's great. Like he's a media person, right? So he is good at communicating.
They are killing UN workers and calling them Hamas. If you start calling everybody Hamas, the doctors are Hamas, the kids are Hamas, the UN order Hamas, there is no way for people to, You see, you know how desperate people are? People are riding on boats and trying to get aid in these flotillas. And one of them is like a comedian that you worked with. His name is Jacob Berger. He's Jewish, by the way, from New York. And he was arrested by the IDF. And one of them, he's the
I
only,
saw that.
and the only black dude on that flotilla. He was beaten and tortured, and he's American.
Chris Smalls.
Right? So you understand
Friend
the
of the
level of
show.
psychopathy that you're dealing with. It's not about like our word against their word anymore, because they have all of these people activated like you. They try to recruit you, whether influencers or people in the media, telling it's like it's not starving, it's not happy, it's not our fault. You remember I told you before, it's the same argument they used before. They bombed every single hospital in Gaza. It's not us, it's Hamas. They bombed every single school in Gaza. It's not us in Hamas. They killed 60,000 people. It's Hamas' fault. You see the pattern? You see the pattern? You know the most viral video I did with Piers Morgan is when I said like Israel is a narcissistic psychopath, like a boyfriend who you over and makes you think their fault. You know why this like resonated with so many people? It's just because people know this is the narcissistic psychopathic behavior, right? So they are like a bunch of liars, a bunch of killers, a bunch of murderers, and it's easy for them to just like get out of it and say like it is Hamas.
So what is like the ideal situation in that area?
The ideal situation that Israel should not be coming in and occupying a country that's not theirs. And I know that you went there and you were raised all your life saying that this is our country, our place. You understand that Israel started by refugees from Europe, people who escaped the Nazis. This was a European problem. Most of those people were in Ukraine and Russia and Poland and Germany. And then they went through incredible hardship. Why would they come to the Middle East and take a land that belonged to other people? That is the core of the problem. The core of the problem is not just starvation or the daily killing. It is people coming in and trying to take a land from other people. And of course, you grew up as a Jewish person telling you, this was an empty land and we just came in. There was no one there. There were already 2 million Arabs living there before Israel have even been conceived. And in one night, 700,000 people were displaced overnight. On 15th of May 1948, when they declared the state of Israel. You understand the amount, your grandparents are like Holocaust survivors. They wouldn't like another Holocaust to be happening in their name.
Wow.
And they wouldn't, if you have a problem.
You know, it varies. Many people don't like it, but some people certainly do like it. I'm just saying, I don't know about Steiny's grandparents, but
With Germany, go take a piece of land from Germany, man. You understand like where my people are coming from? Like we were just sitting here and you have like a problem in Europe and then you were pushed on us and say like, this is our land now, get the out. You understand how sick this is? You know how unfair this is? You understand? So we can discuss about like what is happening now, the situation. You need to go again, the bigger picture and understand why this happened, right? Those people who are Netanyahu sat in front of you and saying like Hamas is terrorist. They are the one who actually started terrorism in the Middle East. They're the one who started bombing hotels, bombing people. The amount, like if you just like go in and write the terror, and I invite the internet to actually fact check this, the terrorism of the Zionist militias in Palestine, right? The dozens of people that they have been killing. You know, all of the stuff that they have like, you know, killing pregnant women, decapitated people. This is the exact massacres like Deir Yassin, there in Sabra and Shatila. They have been, you know, there's a very famous line saying like, every accusation is a confession. Every time they blame Hamas for using human shield, they are the one who's being using human shield, right? They're actually in 2005, the Israeli Supreme Court made a verdict saying you need to stop using human shield because they were using it so much. There's like a recorded 1,200 incidences of them using human shield between 2001 and 2005. That is crazy, man. Right? So every time you see them accusing Palestinians of doing it, they have done it many times before, even more brutal.
Yeah, one thing I see on the internet now too is a lot of Americans are questioning, like, is Israel our closest ally? Why are they our closest ally? Why are we sending so much money to Israel? I mean, I see it. I mean, even Trump now recently, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, it seems like he's not even agreeing with Netanyahu now. I saw Canada just recognize Palestine as a
it's
state.
all bullshit.
Yeah, but at the same time, Trump said like, well, I think like Canada couldn't be our partner anymore, which is crazy. You are basically sacrificing Canada, which is actually your closest ally, because of Israel.
Well, what I was going to ask is why does America consider Israel its closest ally?
No,
in your
America
opinion?
doesn't consider Israel the closest
Well,
ally.
why- the
It's the
question is,
American
why is-
politicians.
Right. So why are the American politicians so loyal to Israel?
Well, follow the money, right? 80% of Congress are openly financed by AIPAC, which is the Israeli lobby. So when you finance 80% of your Congress, your representative, suddenly a foreign country is more important than your own country, right? I think you were asked many times, Tiny, are you American first or are you Israel first? And you said, no, I'm American first. You wouldn't like to have your tax money going to a country and using that to kill children while your fellow Americans in places like Texas and North Carolina suffering from floods and not getting the aid they get. I think there is
Being real anti-Semitic here, bro. Those are funds that Israel could be using to kill Palestinian children. I'm just saying, it's kind of up. It is so distorted. It is so distorted that like the counter to a war criminal, like ICC arrest warrant applicant war criminal that is conducting a live streamed Holocaust is an Egyptian comedian, an Egyptian American comedian. It kind of shows you that there is no balance in this conversation. Because like I was thinking about that, and it's like, even if he were to have like Abu Ubaidah on, like there is no equivalence morally between Abu Ubaidah and Benjamin Netanyahu. There's not even a moral equivalence between, there is not even a moral equivalence between Yahya Sinwar and Benjamin Netanyahu, just on the death toll alone, Like there's just no comparison here. There is no one, like you cannot, not that you could ever interview those guys anyway, they would literally throw you in jail, but it's just like that should show you the asymmetry.
The graph with the $17 billion, by the way, so far since the beginning of the conflict, the slaughter, since October 2023, America sent Israel more than $30 billion, $17.9 billion in 2024
Also, Abu Ubaidah is not dead. Yahya Sinwar was killed.
alone. $17 billion. That's crazy. You know how many schools that you can build with that? You know how many teachers that you can pay? You know how many houses that you can give for the homeless? Why is your money going to a foreign country and using this to inflict the most evil genocide on innocent people? Right?
Right. So why do you think that American politicians are?
No, I'm just told you because of the money. Like the AIPAC.
Because they're being paid to do so.
AIPAC is openly bragging about financing 80% of Congress with $100 million for
Do
each
they
side.
openly brag about that?
Oh, yeah. I invite everybody to go into the AIPAC Twitter and see them bragging about it. It's like 98% of the people that we...
It's not just AIPAC. There is so much pro-Israel institutional control because of Israel's alignment and its role that it plays in American foreign policy in this region. There is no equivalent to what Israel's been able to do because there's no other country that we have utilized in the same way, right? It's not just AIPAC. AIPAC is simply one part of this puzzle. Kufi, Christians United for Israel, is another part of the puzzle, right? But even beyond that, the financial ties directly to Israel by Americans who aren't Jewish, by the way, Jewish Americans as well, but Christian Americans as well. The institutional ties that these institutes of higher learning, for example, have to Israel. Like, it's not a behemoth. It is a massively consequential influence peddling operation alongside financial ties, alongside Israel's role in America's foreign policy goals. There is no other country that gets this treatment. It just isn't. And the only reason why Israel has been able to create this dedicated network of influence peddling is because of it's because of Israel's role in American foreign policy. No other country has ever even been able to come near this level of influence as well. So it's you got the Mearsheimer opinion, and then you got the Chomsky opinion. Chomsky believes it's entirely because of Israel's strategic location, Israel's strategic role in American influence in the region, right, as a destabilizing factor. And then you got the Mearsheimer, who says it's the lobby, it's the AIPAC lobby, it's all of the different facets of said lobby, but it's both. I think it's both. One does not exist without the other. Israel, being an incredibly important asset to American imperialism in the region, only goes so far without a network of influence peddling through lobbying, through advocacy groups, through constantly silencing dissent under the auspices of attacking people as like anti-Semites, a censorship operation, being able to literally craft the only piece of legislation that directly goes against the First Amendment in 37 states as a foreign lobby. Can you imagine being like having anti-BDS laws for like Estonia? Like, it doesn't exist. This is so stupid. Politicians being demanded to take like loyalty pledges to Hungary. Like, you have to. What do you mean? What? Like, the equivalent is right there with Turkey. Turkey is in the region. Turkey is a NATO country. Turkey has the second largest standing military. Could you imagine if there were people like myself running around being like, do you recognize the Armenian genocide? Oh, you do? Why are you being anti-Turkish? Why are you being so anti-Turkish? Do you recognize the Armenian genocide? Why you not love Turkey? Oh, you don't love Turkey? Does Turkey not have a right to exist? Turkey, small nation. No politic here. Oh, I guess you want the Kurds and the Armenians to kill every Turk. That would be ridiculous. That would be ridiculous, having every politician literally constantly posting about how much they love Turkey. What? That unironically is E's new line of attack. What, Ethan's? I can't even go back to Turkey. What the fuck's this dipshit talking about? If he had the backbone and the moral courage that I had to criticize my own government as he does with Israel, we wouldn't have any problems. What the absolute moron. E is for Eric Adams and not Ethan. Yeah, I'm a nationalist, but also I didn't serve in the Turkish military. And he also said I was a coward for not serving in the Turkish military.
That we promote, they win their elections. And this is the graph that I was telling you about. The U.S. sent $17.9 billion in only 2024. This is how much you can do with that amount of money. And instead, it is going to buy weapons. It's going to settlers in the West Bank, American Jews, maybe, Jews from other places who live there with like very low rent housing. They have better education, better healthcare than any American here, which is crazy. Why is my money going there? I know, Steiny, I saw you on many of the podcasts saying like it is very difficult for me as a Jewish American living.
He keeps trying to bring Steiny into the conversation, and Steiny does not even remotely entertain it. That's crazy.
And I understand it's difficult, but it was misunderstood because people said this is so tone deaf, this is so self-centered. It's not about you guys. But I kind of understood it I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt that maybe it is difficult because there's a whole genocidal state right now. using your identity and using your religion in order to commit unspeakable crimes, right? But also, you need to understand, what does it mean to be a Palestinian American right now? You understand how difficult it is to a Palestinian American sitting here, seeing his family slaughtered and starved, and that is being done by their own tax money. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, like, you sending money to your family to, for example, build a bakery, and then you see that bakery destroyed on phone, and then TurboTax takes your money and finance the bomb that bakery? You understand the kind of mind that those people are living in? Like, yes, anti-Semitism is a real thing, but you understand that it is, you haven't seen 3 Jewish people being shot because they spoke Hebrew, right? I have 3 Palestinian friends. They were in Brown University. They were speaking Arabic, and they were shot, and one of them cannot walk for the rest of his life, right? There was like a Palestinian kid, 6 years old, who was stabbed 26 times right after October 7th because of the kind of fear that was launched against Muslim Americans, right? There was like an Indian Muslim kid that was almost drowned in Texas by a Jewish woman. Her name is Elizabeth Wolf, as a hate crime. If the roles were reversed, if those kids were Jewish, you wouldn't hear the end of it. But I'm telling you this, and I can see in your eyes, it's the first time you ever heard about this. This is crazy. This is manufactured. So part of me is angry at you guys for not knowing, but part of me, I have empathy for you, because this is the kind of a bubble that was created intentionally by the media to tell you that all the perpetrators, the people on the other side, are the terrorists, they are the evil people, and Israel is our greatest ally. This is prime brainwashing. So you understand what I mean? So when you say, like, it's difficult to be Jewish, yes, I understand, but it is kind of like you are.
I think it's I can't speak for Steiny, but I have other Jewish friends, and what they'll say to me is,
yeah, don't speak for Steiny. Why is Steiny not speaking?
What Israel's doing right now makes it tougher to be prideful of, being Jewish.
Yeah, but the biggest thing is,
but I don't want to speak for
no,
Jewish
no,
people,
but you understand. But you see, the mistake here is like, now you're linking being Jewish to being pro-Israel. It's like me linking being Muslim to being pro-ISIS. It's like being proud to be German to be a Nazi, because that is what Israel is, right? And it is, this is a regime, a state, a genocidal state that hijacked your identity as Jewish, and then started to tell everybody, if you start to question Israel, you're being anti-Semitic. You know what does that tell you? That being a good Semitic means that you have to approve for starving kids, killing babies, raping prisoners in prison, genociding a whole population, kicking them out. That is what does it mean to be a good Jewish. That is crazy, man. That is actually the most anti-Semitic thing ever.
Do you think, in your opinion, do you think what Israel's doing is making some people anti-Semitic, though?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Let me give you an example. Have you seen those videos of the IDF soldiers dancing with lingeries and toys of babies? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Any army in the world is run by one thing: discipline, right? If you are in the army and you start posting shit like that, your commanders are either allowing you to do this, or if they don't, they will actually, what the fuck are you doing, right? Because this is the army, right? You're not allowed to just like post shit other than actually the army.
Steiny body language analysis, cock shame. That's what he's doing. You see that? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, I have an opinion, but he should have definitely spoken on this, because I know his fan base is going to eat his ass and be like, dog, you didn't say a single damn word. It's 31 minutes in.
Kind of approving to it. So it is by design. I asked a professor in London, it's like, why are they actually...
Yeah, I saw the comments. Everyone is like, Steiny's not saying anything. Never seen silence speak so loud. Steiny still clearly speechless after hearing Netanyahu prefers Burger King. Did you expect anything different? Yeah, I did. I thought he'd be a little bit more active in the conversation, even if it's to like disagree with Bassem Youssef. You know what I mean? I did.
You're doing that on purpose. Like, it's very easy, because it is much easier for Israel to be hated, and then having them conflate that hate with Jewish people. And when that happens, like, you see, anti-Semitism, give us more money to kill our enemies. You understand? It's like it's a very, very sick psychology. And the people who are paying for this are Jewish people, right? Because now you are finding yourself inheriting everything that this regime is doing, right? And it is the whole idea about like being a Jewish person is being pro-Israel. It's crazy, right? You know, like a couple of days ago, Trump pushed Colombia to pay $21 million for support the Jewish people for the psychological trauma. And it's crazy because we haven't heard of Jewish people being
Here's one of those blind spots of yours you were talking about earlier. What's my blind spot? What's the blind spot? Go ahead, say it out loud, chatter. What's my blind spot? Enlighten me. Is my blind spot that I'm not sufficiently pro-Palestine? I can't recognize when someone is pro-Israel. I literally said I thought he would have said something even to disagree, if you noticed. Also, my conversation with Steiny made it seem like he was far more receptive to the pro-Palestinian position than what that Benjamin Netanyahu interview looked like, and certainly this here. But I think he's doing the thing that I have said over and over again at this point, which is that you're a collaborator with a Democrat Party. Yes, I am. I'm a shepherd of the Democratic Party, but also simultaneously single-handedly tanked the election for Kamala. I know. What I've said already is that there's a lot of people who are pro-Israel who at least like recognize, they read the room well enough to just shut up. And I guess he chose to do that this time.
From Colombia, there are people who lost their immigration status for standing pro-Palestine, not pro-Israel. There's not a single Israeli who, because of his stand from being pro-Israel, who lost their job, got deported, being blacklisted with the company, being doxxed. This is what happened on their side. And many of those, and the Jewish people who actually got hurt were the people on the pro-Palestinian side. There are like Jewish professors who lost their position because they stood with the pro-Palestinian side. But they don't talk to you about that. They want you to think it is Jewish people against everybody else. They don't talk to you about the Jewish Voices for Peace, the people who their slogan is "Not in my name." We will not allow Israel to use our name in order to continue with the genocide. They are not telling you about the Israeli bloc that was in all of the university protests, or in all of the protests in London and in Paris and in New York. They want to, again, the same image that they were created in Israel, the way that they use that propaganda in order to blind you of what's happening. They're not telling you about the other side. So they keep putting you in that box. It is Jewish people against everybody else. It is not true.
Talking about patterns, like you said earlier, some of the documents you sent us that I found interesting was just the history dating back of how long Israel has been influencing America's government.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about some of that?
Yeah, well, it's you have a lobby group called AIPAC, which should under American law be registered as a foreign entity, a foreign lobby group, but it's not, and because of its mention, it is registered as local.
The best like this is when they have someone who is aligned with the cause on board, because these guys are not going to craft like anything cynical here to try to force Bassem Youssef into a well, why do you align with Hamas style position, or try to trap him into something that he doesn't believe, forcing him to like concede on a position that he doesn't actually believe so that they can endlessly smear him. That is definitely one of the best aspects of podcasts like this. That's part of the reason why when they have Benjamin Netanyahu on, he gets to just do mincemeat. Okay? But yeah. It's been 33 minutes and 46 seconds. No, do you condemn Hamas questions have come. No, do you, why do you want to kill all the Jewish people? None of that.
It is allowed to raise so much money and act as a local lobbying group, right? And because of that, they are allowed to openly pay all of these politicians in order to write bills and to pass laws to protect Israel more than they protect the United States, right? And people will say, this is conspiracy theory. Are you telling us that Israel is controlling America? It's not really a conspiracy theory, because if you think about it, a country is run by a government and government is run by people. And if you buy enough people, you control the government. Am I right?
Yeah, for sure.
Am I right?
I mean, if not just Israel, if any government was doing that, it would be a problem,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and I send you even a video of like American senators and congressmen having the Israeli flag outside of their room. They are tweeting, "I stand with Israel," while there are people suffering.
No, the funniest was, what was it? The funniest was when Ireland was working through the process of potentially doing a BDS or something, and then every single American congressman in unison started talking about Irish trade policy. That was such a funny moment. Does anyone have that tweet of like all of the American Congress folk from both parties just talking about like Irish trade policy out of nowhere? Okay, it was hilarious, dude. They were all. It was not. No. It was hundreds of tweets. That was the same tweet. Hundreds of different lobbyists and politicians in unison tweeted out the same tweet, like literal copy paste. It was hilarious. It was so stupid. It's like, what is going on? This is so like, what do you mean? Oh, here it is. Ireland's proposed BDS policy is deeply troubling and risks damaging trade with American companies. Israel's a key ally to the U.S. Ireland's proposal to boycott, divest, and sanction Israel is blatantly anti-Semitic and will hurt American companies too. Ireland's draft BDS law is reckless and dangerous precedent. Ireland's proposed ban of Jewish-made products is nothing short of anti-Semitic. Lindsey Graham, I hope Ireland will reconsider their efforts economically to isolate Israel as they are... I don't know what the rest of this is. Ireland's proposal to ban products made in Judea and Samaria wrongfully targets Israel and hurts American businesses. Ireland's proposed legislation targets Jewish communities by singling out settlements tied to Israel. Yeah, day two. I love this. I love when he posted this. Yeah, it was this guy that posted it originally. Wow, I love to see all this organic passion for Irish trade policy in the United States Congress. Day two of members of Congress completely independently deciding that they are highly concerned about Irish trade policy vis-a-vis the West Bank. It's like, I mean, come on, dude. What are we doing? What are we doing here? What an organic movement. What an organic movement this was. You don't understand. You see, American Republican congresspersons care about one thing and one thing only. Okay? Nope. You thought I was going to say Israel. No, that's wrong. They care about Irish trade policy. That's the one thing that they care about. Do you understand? Day two of members of Congress completely independently deciding that they are highly concerned about Irish trade policy vis-a-vis the West Bank. Oh, man. It's so good. Also, this is the funniest. This is what they're posting. This is like such a funny thumbnail for that article. Ireland will regret its anti-Israel boycott. Like, it's like Benjamin Netanyahu saying that angrily. Just as I said, for the record, there are people asking me about like, oh, what do you think the impact of this interview is? Do you think this will like save the NELK boys or whatever? Just as I said about the Benjamin Netanyahu interview that didn't actually help Benjamin Netanyahu and it only hurt the NELK boys, I think this Bassem Youssef interview doesn't help the NELK boys necessarily, but it's good overall for their audience to hear exactly the financial entanglements look like between America and Israel. Like this is a great educational 1 hour podcast because it helps people. It helps people who are like against Israel understand truly why they should be against Israel. Because many people just like jump on trends. Okay. And as I've said, it's Israel o'clock, right? That's what it is. That's what time it is. Everybody sees it. Everybody recognizes it. And I'm sure there are plenty of people that are just simply saying it because they've heard others say it. I'm sure there's plenty of people who just like only have seen maybe a couple of the a couple of the starving children or whatever, and that was enough for them, and that's fine. You don't have to be a scholar to know that genocide is wrong, right? But this helps a lot of people truly understand what the magnitude of criminality is. This helps people understand like what the incentives are. Okay, what is what's happening here that is so attached to the hip. It gives them the tools to properly communicate why they're saying Israel.
From floods in North Carolina, there is like a town in Texas that made people sign a pledge to not boycott Israel if they want to have floods.
This is in my experience, that one is the death blow, or used to be the death blow for many people. I've never met a person that has heard that AIPAC has been able to successfully write legislation that makes it illegal to protest Israel, that makes it that makes it so that, like, in the state of Texas, for example, you have to literally sign a loyalty pledge to the state of Israel if you want to be a public school teacher. When they hear that, they go, what the? I'm done. And this is before October 7, by the way. This has been going on for a while. It's more than Texas. I know, it's 38 states in the United States of America.
Flood aid, which is crazy, right? If I told you, hey, your house was destroyed in the floods, why don't you write a pledge to make sure that you will not boycott Egypt? You'll get furious, right? So why is this allowed to happen, man? Why is this allowed to happen? Why is...
Oh, yeah, that was Texas. That wasn't North Carolina. I think that was Texas, where the Texas state government literally was like, we will not give you aid if you don't sign the loyalty pledge. If you do not sign a loyalty pledge to Estonia, sorry, this flood is going to kill your whole family and we're not going to help you.
Every congressman, every media person is just going there and putting Israel in such like a high place over his own country. If this is not treason, I don't know what it is. Like, do you, Steiny, you pay taxes, right? You guys like doing well for yourself.
Yeah.
Would you accept that your taxes to go to support like a foreign country instead of like supporting your own American fellows, like going into the infrastructure of your own country?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like the bigger picture here, that the system is much more broken than you think. It's not about like me going after every single lie that Netanyahu said. It's about giving you the bigger picture of how this is a very curated, a very, oh yeah, this is American Israel. Yeah.
What's this?
This is how much money that they have spent and given $51 million in contribution
To Israel or Israel?
No. This is AIPAC to American politicians. This is how much, like, this is the kind
And where's
of
this from?
this is American Public Affairs. Yeah.
Is there any type of other I mean, when Russia was doing it, everyone thought they were doing it.
Yeah.
Influence everyone
So I
through a
remember
fit,
like it was
right?
like, oh, the Russian interference.
Oh my God. Oh, please found. Because when they were doing the Russiagate investigation, they found another country. They found another country that was suspiciously involved in interfering with American elections. Which country was that? I can't remember. Which country was it? They just kept, turning over these rocks. Was it Estonia? No. It wasn't Estonia. That's good. Was it Brazil? No. Was it Turkey? No. Maybe with the case of Eric Adams, but no. Japan with anime? No. You're getting close. Burkina Faso? Ibrahim Traore? No. It wasn't Greece. You guys are saying a lot of countries. It wasn't China either. You're saying a lot of countries except for one country that I'm thinking of. Moldova? Nope. It wasn't Hamas. Think tiny nation. Surrounded by enemies. Tiny nation, surrounded by enemies. Also, third most commonly spoken language is Russian, by the way, in this country. Fun facts about this country that I'm explaining to you. Third most commonly used language is Russian. Has the highest density of Russian dual nationals, as a matter of fact, after American dual citizens. Tiny, size of New Jersey. tiny nation. It's Transnistria. Yeah, it's Belarus. Yep, you got it. No, it's Israel.
Russian
Okay, let's move
interference,
on.
like guys, like
Enough.
you don't even need it. And people say it's a conspiracy, but like you don't need a conspiracy. You have people opening. They're basically, we're giving you $100 million. Give me back
You all got it wrong. It was Israel.
$30 billion. That's the best. That's better than crypto, man. I mean, I would invest in APAC. If APAC was a Bitcoin, I would invest in it. Right.
What else does Israel do to influence America's government
Well,
in the past? I mean, this is like some deep shit. I'm kind of honestly scared to talk about it.
No,
I'll be
why
honest,
talk
but-
about it? Don't worry. It's good.
Oh, I know. Yeah. We're in a unique situation. Right?
Yeah, you are right.
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about?
No, just like, I mean, I've seen some of the documents you've talked about, like
Give me an example.
blackmailing and
Oh, the blackmailing. It's yeah. I mean, like a lot of people are talking about the Epstein files right now, right? What do you think about the Epstein files?
I think it's not a good look what's going on right now.
Why?
Just because I think the Republicans kind of ran on releasing it. Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, a lot of, people feel the same way. I think there's clips of people in the administration saying we need to release it, and now it's not getting released. So it's not the best look.
Have you been reading about, like, Ghislaine Maxwell, the one that was with?
Bro, this is so funny because he has to literally say, like, this is when he's locked in because he's a podcaster. So he has to obviously, as a podcaster on the right who knows Donald Trump, his audience is like, dude, come on, Epstein files, what the? But also, he doesn't want to piss off Donald Trump, who's also going, Epstein files, come on, what the? Stop talking about it, okay? So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place here, okay? With Israel, they can just be like, yeah, Israel, yeah, you're right, actually, who cares? They're a foreign country. But you can't, you can't directly come after the big guy,
With him, and then she was like a kind of like 100% Mossad asset, and then you have Kash Patel, the FBI director, who's saying like, America needs to wake up and prioritize Israel. And I said, like, why is the FBI, the deputy of the head of the FBI, telling me that I, as an American, need to prioritize Israel? I mean, you see the pattern. You see how tough this is, right? And then before he goes into the FBI, we're gonna release the Epstein file. After that, there is no Epstein files, and in the middle, we need to prioritize Israel. You connect
I think
the
they
dots.
need to release it because it's not a good
Yeah,
look.
but you understand the fact that you have a country in the Middle East not just taking your money, but blackmailing your politicians, including your presidents. You've seen that article that I sent you at the time of Israel about the Monica Lewinsky thing and the Bill Clinton thing. I mean, this is crazy. That's why it just like it drives me crazy when I.
Can you explain that to our audience?
Yeah, so there's a book.
The history to me is fascinating.
Yeah, there's like a book written by an Israeli
Oh, I thought he was going to talk about One Nation Under Blackmail.
author, and it was actually discussed. It was headlines at the time of Israel of how actually Israel have blackmailed Bill Clinton with the Monica Lewinsky tape in order for him to release an Israeli spy who actually stole our nuclear secrets and sent it to America. Yeah. So it is things like that which drives me crazy when people tell me.
He keeps asking, do you understand? And they most definitely do not understand any of this. I wonder how much of this Kyle retained. I don't know about Steiny. Maybe Steiny was just listening intently, okay? That's what I'm going to go with. He was listening intently. That's why he didn't want to butt in.
Israel is our biggest ally. An ally will not do that to you. An ally will not
It's been 39 minutes and 26 seconds since Steiny has said something on the podcast.
steal your nuclear weapons, will not blackmail your presidents with whatever files they have, with sexual files in order to release a spy, will not blackmail your politicians with a Love Island with young girls. It's crazy, right?
Yeah. Why do you think they allowed him to campaign on that so hard then?
What do you mean?
Like, why would they?
Okay, that's actually a good question. Damn, 39 minutes and 52 seconds. We finally get a Steiny question, and it's actually a good question. Okay.
Because Trump campaigned on that.
Yeah.
That he was going to release it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, that's a good
maybe he didn't know that they had something on him. Maybe they thought that like everything was on Clinton. Maybe he didn't know. And then
I think the real reason is he was always a little apprehensive when talking about the Epstein stuff, right? He still pushed it because I think he thought he's undefeated, and so he didn't have an issue with like talking about releasing it and whatnot. But I think he miscalculated how much his base does care about it. You know, because he would say maybe that one less so. Remember when he was asked on that Fox News interview when they were like, "Hey, would you release the 9/11 files?" He's like, "Yes." Would you release the JFK files? He's like, "Yes." Would you release the Epstein files? He's like, maybe that one less so. He's like, because there's a lot of phony stuff in there. You know, he was a little hesitant on that, but I think there's two reasons there. At first, before Trump came out and basically started saying, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe Jeffrey Epstein was misunderstood, you know, every day. Why are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? The list is fake. The list is real, maybe. Ghislaine Maxwell did nothing wrong. We need to pardon her, you know. Before all of that, I was of the mindset that perhaps he didn't want to release it for the same reason why the Democrats would have never released it, because there's a lot of powerful people involved in this. And of course, as the president of the United States, your job is to literally protect their interests, and you're not going to up the bag. Regardless, there's a class first politics there amongst billionaires and the super wealthy. Since his like desperate reaction every single day, getting increasingly worse and worse, I've begun to believe that maybe his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein was maybe a little bit more than what we previously thought it was. That's number one. And then number two, the other possible option is it's not just the financial elite that he is trying to protect, but it's also probably maybe espionage, both for the CIA, but certainly for Israel as well. You know?
Like we have Elon Musk saying, well, he's in the files. And Bear's like, oh, no, I'm not in the files. And that Pat Bundy's like, I have the files on my desk. And then suddenly we don't have the files. It makes you think, right? And you know, like Trump was asked straight up, would you release the Epstein files? It's like, well, it can destroy a lot of people's life. Yeah, well, if they're pedophiles, yes, destroy their lives. It's just like, it's, as an, like, I come from the Middle East, and in the Middle East, we complain a lot about, like, how the government is corrupt. And then I come here to the Western world where, like, everything is transparent. And I just, like, find the same exact attitude of gaslighting and of lying. And I found I was like, oh my God, I'm actually in a country that's being controlled by like horrible people in Israel. Yeah, here's another like a nice tidbit. Do you know that Israel has one of the highest rates of sex offenders in the entire world, and many of them are Jewish Americans who actually
is that a fact?
Oh yeah. You can actually
like per capita.
Yeah, no, you can actually right now. There's a CBS report about sex offenders fleeing from Israel. These are people who get indicted in America. They have a conviction and they flee. Do you see it? Oh yes. How Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel. This is on CBS. You don't have to play it, but like I don't want to like kind of like stop the interview. I just want people that they reference it. So there's like tens of people who basically get
no high-end ads here.
Yeah, who get like indicted for actually like being pedophiles, and they go hide in Israel, and Israel doesn't bring you back because like they're protected by their Israeli passport. So this is the bigger picture that I'm telling you. When you are on, this is one of the things that we're taking against you. There's no two sides for it. One side is a genocidal, pedophile enabling, blackmailing liars who are starving people to death, who are killing women and children. And that is the side, right? So that is why it's like it's being very icky right now to even give a platform for them to spread their lies. Right. Because this is the kind of lies that's...
I'm not seeing anything on Google about Israeli pedophiles. Brother, literally search Haaretz pedophile safe haven Israel. Actually, let's do it right now. Exposing pedophilia and legal failures in Israel. CBS News, how Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel. Tip of the iceberg from Haaretz, how foreign sex offenders find refuge in Israel. Jerusalem Post, Israel is trying to legalize pedophilia. Like, I know that like criticizing Israel sometimes takes this weird turn where it literally sounds like you're being anti-Semitic. Okay? I get it. I totally understand. Okay, last part. And this is the final thing that you need to know. Leonardo DiCaprio to open hotel in Israel. It's over. It's over. Lock it down. He had to find the youngest country. South Sudan is technically. Okay, sorry. Yeah, y'all stole that. Y'all stole that joke from Twitter. But yeah, it's I mean, it's just like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I get it. When you sometimes hear something that's like in practice in Israel, you go, "What? Like, did you make that up?" Like, "Oh, you're saying the Jewish state is doing this?" And it's like sometimes it's good to just Google it, and then maybe you find out that they are doing this, you know? But I do understand why most people, when they first hear about it, go, yeah, like, Israel is an insane right-wing fascist country. So when you describe Israel as an insane right-wing fascist country, which it is, when you describe the things that Israel does, it comes across as insane because you're like, there's no way. There is no way that that is happening. What are you saying? And it's like, and then you look into it and you're like, oh my God, it's not made up. What the? I thought you were a liar until you showed the ad for the Cum Brigade Live. Oh my God, that was another one. Yeah. The whole like, Israel has a semen extraction squad, post-mortem semen extraction squad, specifically where they go in and like extract the semen from fallen Israeli occupying force soldiers so they can give that semen to their wives so they can keep having Jewish children. That is a real thing that the Israeli government has in operation. The Goon Platoon. That's the type of shit you do when you are a eugenicist fascist country. You know, Jewish, Christian, atheist, doesn't matter. If you have like a eugenicist, supremacist ideology, that's the kind of stuff you get involved in. Or, I don't know, the pro-rape January 6th riots that they did in Israel. But yeah, Israel is our greatest ally, of course. Just like ISIS is the embodiment of all the Islamophobic tropes with no support from most governments, Israel is the embodiment of the anti-Semitic tropes with full support from most governments. Yeah, Israel does do a lot of stuff that you would normally think is possibly blood libel. You're like, nah, that's not true. Get the f out of here. You're being ridiculous. And then you literally Google it and you're like, oh my God, that is literally true. What the f is going on? That's why I'm saying, like, my hatred for Israel did not develop overnight for no reason. Many of you that have been in here for a very long time, know that I abhor anti-Semitism. I'm bigoted. It's ridiculous. So why is it that I have this perspective on Israel? Perhaps it's because I do not actually consider Israel to be abiding by the Jewish faith or doing right by Jews in general, and simply a Jewish ethno-religious supremacist ideology that is exterminationist.
Been actually hurting and killing people over 2 years. So you understand? So if I told you, hey,
I'm not an expert still, but what I've even learned just with the stuff you've sent and what I've learned over the last week.
So you understand, like when I'm all of that. I'm trying to make you understand the level of hate and anger that was directed towards you, because basically you're supporting a pedophile. You're supporting a guy that is actually blackmailing people. You're supporting a guy who's a killer, right? That guy, who seems to be caring about women. There's a huge scandal in Israel that was unraveled in 2013, that for more than 2 decades, Israel gave contraceptive shots to Ethiopian Jewish women to prevent them from...
Yeah, there's also a tint of white supremacy associated with this as well. Early on, obviously, before Israel realized there simply wasn't enough like white Ashkenazi descent Jews to fill up the entire population of this area that they wanted to populate. at first, the whole, the idea was met with a little bit of negativity. Like, why are you letting in these Arab Jews into the country? It's kind of crazy to think about now, especially because like Yemeni Jews, for example, or who were incredibly mistreated by Israeli society broadly. But like, it's not. But that's at the heart of fascism. Like, that's at the heart of all fascist ideology. Eventually, when you run out of targets to exterminate in the outgroup, you turn the crosshairs within. So there is also obviously the whole initial mistreatment and otherizing of Arab Jews and the sterilization of Ethiopian Jews, the Yemenite children affair, obviously, the disappearance of Yemenite Jewish babies and toddlers of immigrants in newly found state of Israel from 1948 to 1954. The number of children affected ranges from 1,000 to 5,000. Majority of immigrants arriving in Israel during this period were from Yemen, with considerable numbers coming in from Iraq, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, and the Balkans. According to low estimates, 1 in 8 children of the Yemenite families disappeared. Hundreds of documented statements made over the years by the parents of these infants allege that their children were removed from them. There have been allegations that no death certificates were issued and that parents did not receive information from Israeli and Jewish organizations as to what had happened to their infants. Israel does not acknowledge the Ugandan Jews and does not offer them citizenship. That's another one, because they were converts, and they're black. They're from Uganda. Not so fun fact, Jews from Yemen were stolen from their parents as babies and given to European Ashkenazi families to raise. Yeah, so they did a little bit of that as well. Like residential school style shit. Because the initial Ashkenazi, the initial Israeli society was also built that Israel was European, right? It was a European colony, and that the fear. What was the term? What was the statement that Ben Gurion made about Arab Jews? Like that they're dust or something? Am I misremembering? Or was that Ben Gvir? Why would Ben Gvir say that? Ben Gvir is from Iraq. He's Kurdish and Arab. What was the statement that he made? I can't remember now. He called them human dust. We Kurds don't claim him. Shut the fuck up. I mean, he is Kurdish. Sorry. It's just true. Kurds in the chat be like, nah, he's Turkish, bro. I swear. Nah, I heard Itamar Ben-Gvir was Turkish, actually. That's what many people are saying. Not me. Don't know where you got that from. Nah, he was not Kurdish, bro. He was actually Turkish, bro. Trust.
Reproducing. And this was
how? Like, how'd they like?
Yeah, they're gonna pull it up right now. So basically, they were giving contraceptive shots for them in order to prevent them, because they were like black Jewish people. And Benjamin Netanyahu was in the cabinet, and they apologized. In
I wasn't thinking about that.
Apologize. How can you apologize for something like that, right? Okay, do you have it? Yeah. Ethiopian immigrants in Israel received contraceptive shots without their consent. And you can find it also in Time of Israel. You can find it in
How'd they do that?
Well, they would kind of like get them into like routine gynecological, tests, and then they would just
bang.
Yeah, bang, yeah. And they didn't know what they were being injected with. And this continued from 1998 to 2013. And when it was found out, it was a huge scandal. And Benjamin Netanyahu was in the cabinet. So I'm just telling you,
yeah. Here is another one. Where is it? The Jewish Power Party lady, someone in the chat brought it up, but they said, like, I'm a racist. If defending my country from African migration is racist, then I'm a racist. May Golan of the Jewish Power Party, which is Itamar Ben-Gvir's party, by the way. Jewish Power Party. Interesting. I wonder why they named it that. That's crazy. That's weird. Okay. All right. Whatever. Nothing to see here. Yeah, May Golan, Israel's self-proclaimed racist politician, nominated as New York Consul General. May Golan has insulted Africans in Israel and disparaged the Reform Movement, the largest Jewish denomination in the U.S. This is from 20th of April, 2023. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has nominated a far-right politician who once boasted that she is proud to be a racist as his country's top diplomat in New York. The appointment of May Golan, this is under the Brandon regime as well. The appointment of Megalan was swiftly denounced by Israeli and American former diplomats and the head of the largest Jewish denomination in the U.S. as an affront to the U.S. and damaging for Israel. A group of former Israeli ambassadors said they were shocked by the move. Galan's appointment is outrageous as she is a racist and divisive figure, which is the exact opposite from what Israel needs in such a critical place. Galan, who is a member of the Israeli parliament for Netanyahu's Likud party and a minister without portfolio in the current government, is a supporter of the ultra-nationalist faction in the ruling coalition that is attempting to curb the power of Israel's courts in what has been described as a judicial coup. Golan made a political name for herself by denouncing African refugees in Israel, calling them Muslim infiltrators, criminals, and rapists. She said many have AIDS, suggested they were spreading HIV by working as waiters, and demanded they be expelled from the country. If I am racist for wanting to defend my country and for wanting to protect my basic rights and security, then I am a proud racist, she said at a political rally in 2013 as a member of the far-right Jewish Power Party, a descendant of the Kach party that was outlawed under Israeli anti-terrorism laws. What would you say if I were to tell you that she is not even in the top 10 of most racist Israeli politicians currently active? What would you say if I were to tell you that she's not even in the top 100 of all Israeli politicians, both active and inactive? Would that shock you? Would that come as a surprise to you? Yeah. This is not even a joke. The seventh most racist Israeli politician, both no longer currently active, literally idolizes Hitler. I forget his name now. That's not even a joke. There are Israeli politicians who have talked about Hitler in a positive way. It is not even a joke. You think I'm joking. I am not joking. Okay? Especially if you think about like the inactive, like former Israeli politicians that directly did actually collaborate with the Nazi party, you know, because the early Zionists were way crazier. Okay? I mean, Netanyahu himself is a Holocaust revisionist. He literally said Hitler didn't want to kill the Jews, which is an abject lie. Okay? Like, that's just insane. These Watch Mojo lists are getting wild. Yeah.
If I start,
you know what it is? I think some of the shit's so dark,
yes,
that you almost don't want to believe it.
Exactly.
I think that's part of the problem.
It's
like
that
when you say something like that, my initial reaction is like,
this is a conspiracy.
I don't want to believe it. Not a conspiracy. I don't want to believe it because it's like, it's scary how up that would be if it was true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's why I didn't want this interview to saying like, hey guys, you stop, you're terrible people.
Likud minister fires aide who praised Hitler, wished death on judicial officials. Oh, Ben Gurion described them as primitive, the anti-Mizrahi racism in Israel. The founders of the state, Jews of Ashkenazi origin, raised on European ideas, viewed Oriental Jews as backwards and primitive from the moment they began arriving en masse on Israel's shores. There's also this guy, the former Israeli minister of the Knesset, quotes Hitler while discussing the Gaza war. As Hitler said, Moshe Feiglin said on Channel 12 News, I can't live if one Jew is left. We can't live here if one Islamo-Nazi remains in Gaza. Would it shock you if I were to tell you that this is not the first time that Moshe Feiglin has praised Adolf Hitler? Would it surprise you if I told you that he has a Wikipedia page and one of his tabs on his Wikipedia page is Hitler quotes, because he has a paragraph full of times where he has said positive things about Adolf Hitler. Yeah, look, am I lying? Hitler comments. Controversy and criticism. Hitler comments. He has an entire paragraph dedicated to his Hitler comments. And then they have to come in here and they're like, wow, I can't believe you don't want Israel to remain a Jewish majority ethno-state. Like, what the? You can't let them have a little bit of genocide? Anti-Semitism much? It's like, what are you talking about? It is a completely insane, completely unsustainable political worldview that they have.
Look what you did. And I didn't want to just chase every single lie that Netanyahu says because it's exhausting. I just wanted you to understand the level of psychopathy.
How did Israel get to this point, or was it always like this? I mean, Zionism was always like this. It was inevitable that it was going to turn into this. I mean, I think the early Zionists were much more honest about their intentions and how this was a colonial project. I think they're the last, like, I would say there was a period of time, I think after the 6 Day War, where this was like Israel got to revitalize his outlook, like revitalize his PR in the Western world, where there was a moment, there was an opportunity after that point to like make Israel this like technocratic state. But like, if you go back early enough, there are people who literally were initially on board with the project of Zionism and then very quickly turned around and said, oh, no, this is Nazi shit. What the f going on? One of the people that I'm referencing is famous socialist Albert Einstein, who wrote extensive letters about how what they were doing over there, without having any sort of like binational commitment to living side by side with the Palestinians, was turning into a Nazi project. He was right. He straight up said, I know Nazis. Y'all are behaving like Nazis. This is crazy. And he was actually originally supposed to be the president of Israel. Like they literally wanted him to be the president of Israel. Albert Einstein today would be considered an anti-Zionist and perhaps an anti-Semite with his position.
This regime is, right? Because today's starvation, yesterday is killing, tomorrow is going to be something else. And it's going to be the same exact loop of discussion. We didn't do it. It's Hamas. It's propaganda. It's like, dude, come on. These are professional liars.
Can I ask you a question that I actually just want to understand? It might be a dumb question, but like, what, like, in your opinion, what role does Hamas play? Like, do they need to be completely removed from Gaza?
Well, again,
like,
this is the kind of like, again, the questions that are used in order to distract you from the biggest thing, right? Because
I'm just trying to learn.
I got the hiccups, Zin hiccups.
No, I understand. But again, we're doing bigger picture now, right? You have to understand that this all started by people coming from a different country, going into a different country, killing everybody, taking their land. There will have to be resistance movement, whether you call these resistance movement terrorist, whether you, like, I mean, Nelson Mandela was called a terrorist for 20 years of his life, right? He was called Nelson Mandela, who was like the beacon of liberation. He was classified by the American government as a terrorist, right? And people say terrorist because they don't want to get into trouble, because they are classified by the FBI and by the CIA as terrorists.
Pre-1967 Israel was widely unpopular with Western Jewry. The Holocaust wasn't even discussed that much before then either. Post-Six-Day War, they capitalized immensely on this renewed interest in nationalism. Finkelstein goes into detail about this a lot. Yeah. I mean, the entire reason for why there was even, Israel had to be in what is now considered historic Jewish land, and all of the other like biblical associations with all of the biblical associations with Israel, all of that is a part of the national mythos that is like relatively new. Theodor Herzl was a secular Jew. He did not give about Judaism, and initially when he tried to push for building a nation state for Jews, a lot of Jews were like, no, I don't want to do that. That's bullshit. We don't do that. We don't do that. We're Jews. A lot of the original Orthodox Jews themselves were against the development of a nation state, specifically on religious boundaries. And there are still some sects of Orthodox Jews that consider it to be theologically unjustifiable. So it's a lot of this stuff. I mean, Israel is a relatively new country. There are plenty of people who are around that were around when Israel wasn't around. Noam Chomsky, for example. Joseph Robinette Brandon is another example. So there are sects, however, thank you for the 20 gifted subs. There was a lot of resistance from Jews. The only person that was immediately against the Balfour Declaration was the only Jewish person in the parliament at the time in England. I forget his name now. As a matter of fact, Christian Zionism at its inception was not exactly, and still to this day is not exactly pro-Jew anyway, but Christian Zionism was basically the idea that, you know, you got to send these guys to the desert, get them out of here. Most commonly pushed by anti-Semitic Christians.
So people don't want to get into trouble, and then suddenly the conversation, oh, so you mean Hamas is not terrorist, so you support what they're doing. So you see, I'm just like giving you the bigger picture, how these questions are used. And then now Hamas is not even an issue anymore. You went in and you destroyed a whole territory, displacing 2 million people, destroying every hospital.
Yeah. Fun fact, there has never been, at any point in time, there has never been on the planet a larger number of Jewish Zionists than there are Christian Zionists. Never. To this day, and even in its inception, there has always been a far greater number of Christian Zionists than there have been Jewish Zionists. Far greater number, always. And there most likely never will be.
Every school, every house. And now people are saying, Hamas, if there was no occupation, there will be no Hamas, there will be no resistance, right? And it's, I find it very funny. Netanyahu have openly admitted that he has emboldened Hamas in order to cause factions inside the Palestinian movement, so they will never have a Palestinian state. And you can Google that as I talk if you want.
So
again,
purposely causing chaos.
yeah, you know, like how you kind of like, you know, finance people and other people in order to they have like an infighting. It's a very common technique, you know, like divide and conquer, you know. So, and this is why I don't want people to get reduced to asking smaller questions. When
I just know it's a question everyone asks.
no, of course,
Yeah.
but the bigger question is that you have a genocidal regime using your money to continue with the killing, using your money in order to buy the media to make you continue being ignorant and not knowing what's going on. Yes.
Explain this to us more.
So,
This is interesting.
so this is basically for years Netanyahu. This is from the time.
What
of
does
Israel.
it mean by it says Netanyahu propped up Hamas?
So basically, they would facilitate them having the stream of money in order to make them stronger and to kill any other liberal opposition or any kind of opposition inside to have like a different representation of the Palestinian people. It's very easy to have your enemy like and paint them as an Islamic terrorist. So you can, instead of trying to have a critical thinking of what's happening, it's like, oh, these are zombies. These are, you know, when you watch a movie of zombies, you don't want to understand about their motives. These are zombies. These are cannibals. These are like terrorists. So you don't spend time in trying to understand the conflict. And
Was the eye roll? Because, I mean, it's true. It's far easier to dehumanize a movement that was far easier to dehumanize a movement that is like Islamist in origin, and Hamas is, but that doesn't mean that there aren't like secular forces within Hamas. And that also doesn't mean that like they are oblivious to how they are perceived around the world. They are very aware of how they are perceived around the world. Like they're not, it's not just that like I don't think it blew up in Israel's faces, like them propping up Hamas just blew up in Israel's faces because of October 7, because it wasn't just Hamas that did October 7. It was the entirety of the Palestinian Resistance Front. But it was also, what blew up in Israel's faces was that Hamas wasn't Hamas didn't turn out to be the selfish, like self-interested, corrupt party that they thought it would be. Because if they were, they wouldn't have done any of this shit. They would have a long time ago ran away from the Strip, as Israel claimed they did. You know what I mean? Like Hamas has been incredibly conciliatory to any group that chooses to oppose Israeli sovereignty. They don't give a shit. They don't care about the Sunni Shia divide or whatever. Like they don't give a shit about any of that. Obviously, one of their major backers has always been Iran, which is a Shia country. And not only that, but also, they are directly invested in the abolition of the Israeli apartheid and creating sovereignty for Palestinians, even if it means that they don't get to hold on to that power.
you just say like, okay, this is just like a, right? So for example, when you were in interview and you were talking about New York, and it's like, oh, Mamdani, that guy is like anti-Semitic, right? Where does this come from?
Just stuff I see on X.
Yes, stuff you see on X, but you don't question why is he anti-Semitic, right? What did he say and that's the one video that I want to play, guys. Is it the people running for the position of mayor in New York, right? You are a New Yorker, right? You're from New York?
No,
Where are you from?
Colorado.
Colorado. Okay, so let's say you are in New York, right? Okay, you're from Colorado. You want the people, the people running for the governor of the governor of Colorado or the mayor of Denver to represent your interest, right? It would be very weird if people started saying, I'm going to travel to a foreign country as my duties as mayor, right? It doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
So can you play this video, guys?
I wanted to actually say something about that because I think one of the biggest issues right now is like even that that I made a mistake on is you see one thing posted and no one does a deeper dive. They just believe the first thing they see.
Absolutely. And it's flooding the internet. It is like when you say an X, your timeline is very, very, very curated because like basically if you buy enough, if you spend enough money, that's what I'm telling you about Hasbro, right? Your timeline is full of the same exact stories about Mamdani being anti-Semitic, about Muslims are terrorists, about it's Hamas. So because it is,
Let's see this.
yeah. Okay, play this, please. That's fun.
Oh, we're doing a little.
So this is just to give people context before you play it. This is during the primary election for the mayor of New York. So basically, you have a pundit saying, like, it is how come a mayor of New York doesn't travel to Israel, and then the other candidates talking about how they feel about Israel. Can you play it, please?
Who travels to Israel?
These
Eric
are all the
Adams?
candidates of the mayor of New York. Candidates, yes. Go ahead.
Any mayor that can't say they will go to Israel someday as mayor should not be mayor.
Where would you go first?
The Holy Land.
Go to Israel.
Fourth trip to Israel. First trip to Israel.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
It is so offensive.
If you're wondering,
This is Unk Talk, okay? This is so funny to me because this is literally Unk Talk, okay? This video is straight up made for Unks in Bangladesh, okay? This is not supposed to be seen by white Americans. Don't look at this TikTok. It's not supposed to be it's not for your eyes, okay? This is for Unks in the global South. This is literally specifically crafted to be shared in WhatsApp groups, okay? This is a video that was designed to be shared in WhatsApp. No other format. It's for global South unks to look at that and go, oh, the Zoran guy, he's a good guy.
what kind of world considers
stop.
putting America first as offensive?
Okay, stop that. So you see, as an American, as a new American, because you guys were born here, I've been only an American for a few years, and I come to this, I have to ask myself, why is the mayor of a city in America have to visit a foreign country, and why is it frowned upon? It is offensive if you say, I'm going to stay in the city that I was voted for as mayor to serve its people. You understand the kind of like brainwashing
I mean, that
here?
clip's crazy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But I don't know what else he stands for. I heard he's like a socialist too.
What? Okay, we can discuss about how is a socialist. That's a different discussion.
Yeah.
And you can
That clip's insane.
and you can say I'm not gonna vote for Mamdani because of his economic view. That is quite fair. But
No,
to
it's
make
not.
it
Don't say that.
point that he has to visit a foreign country, and if he doesn't, that is enough for disqualifying him, even
that's
from the
stupid,
discussion.
yeah.
That is
Why would
crazy.
a mayor need to visit a foreign country?
Thank you. And why is it like if you say
Like
that
a federal, that's different. But a mayor,
if you're staying to serve your people that voted for you, why are you being penalized? And it's offensive not to visit Israel. Why?
New York's got enough problems.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think like he is trying to serve his people, but he's being called anti-Semitic because he doesn't want to go to a foreign country. It's crazy, right?
There's got to be other reasons they're saying he's anti-Semitic.
I mean,
though.
like,
Correct, Bassem, or no?
what?
Is there other reasons they say he's anti-Semitic? It can't just be because of that
I mean, you
clip.
tell me.
I don't know.
I don't know
Why does Steiny think he's anti-Semitic? Apparently, he says so.
either. I haven't because it is the easiest thing is anti-Semitic. He is terrorist. He hate the Jews, and that's a conversation stopper. You know when you guys all about free speech, right? Imagine every time you try to tell a joke, that's racist. All right. Oh my God, that's so offensive. It's like, why? What did I say? And nobody will explain to you why is it racist. And nobody will explain to you why it's stupid. It's just like, and it's a way to intimidate people. If you start calling people anti-Semitic, it's just like anti-Semitism is dangerous, but it's not the only ism that matters, right? You cannot just like stop people's conversations like that's anti-Semitic. Where is that is anti-Semitic? That and you have to understand like
That's not.
Yeah, exactly. That's not when you have like, oh, he's a socialist. Then let's talk about what do you mean he's a socialist? What is it? And when he say like he's gonna do like affordable prices in supermarket, why is that socialist?
I'd have to look into it more.
Yes,
Again,
exactly. So tell me, but if that would stop you from voting for him because he just say I'm gonna serve my people and stay for the country for the city that voted for me, that is remarkable.
Well,
that is not anti-Semitic.
It's pretty basic. Yeah. Yeah, it's not any.
Well, so what do you say?
I mean, in Israel, they get health care and housing to settle in the West Bank.
Yes.
So if you're complaining about socialism, you have to address that as
Yeah, so you understand, like, if you say, like, socialism is like, so people basic almost stuff for, like, almost for nothing, healthcare and housing and education in Israel, and it's doing that with our money. That is not even socialism. That is, like, grand theft. You know, like why is my money going there to support the lifestyle of people staying in illegal settlements built on Palestinian land? That is crazy, man. Right? Have you heard about something called Friends for the IDF?
Friends?
Friends of the IDF?
No.
So Friends of the IDF it's a very interesting piece of information. It is one of their biggest leaders is Haim Sabban, who is like a Jewish American who was in Egypt, by the way. He immigrated from Alexandria, and he settled in the United States. That guy is so huge in the Hollywood business. That guy owns the franchise for Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He produced so many movies for Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. That guy is big. You know that.
Well, yeah. If you own Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers.
No, he's huge, man. Do you know that the big museum for the Oscars in Fairfax? Like that's cool.
He's talking about Haim Saban. Haim Saban is the Democrat Party's Sheldon Adelson, almost singularly focused on ensuring that as a major donor, Democrats stay consistent on Israel. Sheldon Adelson's role as a major donor to the Republicans was that, and also, you know, their own personal financial interests as well.
Called the Saban building, right? That's how big this guy is. This guy is famously known for a very famous saying. He said, I'm a one-issue guy, and my issue is Israel.
Yeah, I was about to say, you can't even say that's anti-Semitic. He literally said it, okay? Like, this is like Jonathan Pollard being like, every Jew has dual loyalty. It's not true, but Jonathan Pollard did say that, okay? And it's like Haim Saban also literally said that. He's like, I'm a single issue guy. I love Israel. I only care about Israel. Shut the up.
America, Israel, right? Now, every single year, he throws a gala dinner for something called Friends for the IDF. And like celebrities like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Gerard Butler come there, Ashton Kutcher, and they come there and they raise somewhere between $70 and $100 million per night, tax exempt. So this is money that should have gone to charity in the United States, but it goes to a quote unquote charity to help veterans of the IDF having like better healthcare, having better education, having like better retirement plan. I mean, like you are actually doing tax write-off for celebrities who lived and got their money inside America.
Here's Nancy Pelosi beside Zionist billionaire Haim Saban declaring that if the Capitol crumbled to the ground, Congress would still fork weapons over to Israel. We don't need the FBI to tell us she's a vehicle for foreign malign influence.
I have said to people when they ask me, if this Capitol crumbled to the ground, the one thing that would remain is our commitment to our aid. And I don't even call it aid, our cooperation with Israel. That's fundamental.
I mean, come on, dude. I think one of the craziest things that's taken place in this past year has been like a lot of things that I knew about that I couldn't just like point to because I knew that it was only Nazis that would bring it up, like USS Liberty. 5 years ago, if someone was like, do you know about the USS Liberty? That would imply that that person you're talking to is probably a Nazi. Doesn't matter that Israel did do that, okay? But like it's one of those things where there is structure that has opened up where you could just like be honest about how ridiculous this shit is. That's flawed logic. It doesn't matter. Human beings are not logical. Okay? They respond to stimuli. Some things you can say, some things you can't, even if it's truthful. This is one of those things that you see in like, this is the type of shit that anti-Semites use in their anti-Semitism compilations. Okay? Like this, just by virtue of like how 14p this video is probably in a compilation where then they'll interlace it with like some rabid Kahanists that are talking about how like the goy are cattle or some shit to be like, see, this is what they think of Christians. You know what I mean? It's like, that's usually what you would normally see this kind of footage interlace with. Okay? The conspiracy edits. Yeah. Yeah. As Felix consistently says, one of the funniest things that Nazis think is happening is they assume that like the ultra Orthodox community in New York is like the secret power brokers. They're not. Okay. They don't even go to school, dog. They're not the secret power brokers. Okay. That's not, he says they can't even do crack without scrutiny. Yeah. People being like, oh my God, they got tunnel systems. They got the Chabad tunnels. Like, yeah, dude, let him smoke crack. Okay. Let him smoke crack in the tunnels. That's what the tunnels are for. The Chabad tunnels are for crack smoking only. Okay. And possibly a little bit of sexual intercourse too. Before 10/7, stuff like USS Liberty was niche info to know about. If you knew it, either you were a principled early anti-Zionist or you were a Nazi. Now it's widespread knowledge due to the genocide drawing attention and scrutiny to Israel in its past. That doesn't mean the Nazis won here. It means the anti-Zionists did. Yes. But Americans do have a tendency to believe, because of their lack of interest in like thinking about America's involvement in this, they have a tendency to look for some kind of secret conspiracy, and that, I'm fearful, pushes them in the direction not of like principled anti-Zionism, but instead of anti-Semitism. This is why I do what I do so consistently, regardless of how many of these supposedly Jewish advocacy groups consistently attack me and say I'm the arch nemesis of Jews in America. Because I'm very fearful that Americans, I know Americans, they're just like much more, they're much more easily duped by a narrative that conveniently creates a villain that they can point to. And it's much easier for them to think about it as like American politicians being blackmailed into this position instead of just being totally on board with this position because America loves what Israel is doing. And they don't care about you. They don't give a shit about spending this money on you and your streets and your schools, and instead would be perfectly happy giving it to the military-industrial complex and laundering it through the military-industrial complex to Israel.
And to support the IDF and to support illegal settlements, it is crazy, man. Right? And you know what's so crazy? Like, you have people like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger who made their whole fame be doing movies, being like saving America, supporting American soldiers, and yet they don't spend a penny on American soldiers, but they send it to a soldiers of a foreign now known to kill people on camera. It's crazy, man. It's like you feel duped. You feel that like, where's my money is going, right?
Well, a lot of Americans I see on the internet now are, really turning on Israel. I think people are really fed up with it. I mean, they don't like how we're sending money to Ukraine, and they don't like how we're sending money to Israel. It's kind of the same thing, right? Like, why are we sending our tax money to other countries?
Yeah, but you, first of all, you're sending far more money than Israel, and second of all, like, at least like I don't like actually sending money to Ukraine too, but at least like, all right, you're sending it to Ukraine because they're standing against like a nuclear power like Russia, but like you are sending money to Israel to kill civilians. There's the equivalent of 6 Hiroshima bombs that were actually dropped in Gaza since the beginning of war, the equivalent, the amount of explosive power, you finance that without you having any say in it. If this is not theft, I don't know what it is. So again, I'm trying to explain to you the anger that was directed against you far exceeds the fact that you just platform Netanyahu. You're basically siding with everything that this country stands for. And many influencers like you who are having a huge platform are being used every day with these free trips to Israel in order to put makeup on a fucking genocidal regime, and in the same time you like getting the most racist tropes for Palestinians inside. I mean, that video, guys, that you did, it has 7.5 million views on YouTube. Even if October 7th didn't happen, you unknowingly were used as a part to launder their propaganda and give people, and just like go into their heads and just like plant these horrible images about Palestinians, so people's like, oh, there's like a bunch of people staying in tents, it's okay to kill them. So you understand?
No, I'm just trying to digest it.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to digest. Yeah, so it's so.
Fuck.
The toughest thing, back to the starvation of the kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't more other countries getting involved and trying to do airdrops?
Well, let's talk about no. First of all, you shouldn't be airdropping.
You're right, but I'm saying like
yeah, but like okay, let's talk about other
solutions.
countries who try to involve.
Okay,
any country like who would try to do it, it's very easy to Israel. Like they're terrorists, they're supporting Hamas, and they bomb the shit out of us. Just Egypt tried to force in. It's not to try to force, because nothing goes in without Israel approval. Because let's say, for example, Egypt comes, it's like, okay, we're going to put our stuff in. Israel was going to bomb the convoy like they did many times, like Hamas. Because you will have many people like, oh, it's Hamas, it's terrorists. Once it's terrorists, you can do whatever you want, right? And the fact that like other countries are trying and cannot do anything, it just tells you how much of a fucking bully this country is. They have already bombed Syria, Lebanon, Iran, Yemen. They have bombed the West Bank, where there's supposedly not Hamas. They have killed like thousands of people there, and have already like have put 15,000 people in jail in the West Bank. Nobody's talking about the West Bank. Just 2 days ago, a settler went in and killed a guy who was featured in an Oscar-winning documentary, and then the IDF came and they intimidated the rest of that guy's family. You understand? This is happening on a daily basis. Imagine being a Palestinian, waking up, having like a settler who came from New York and just taking your house, kicking your people out, and if you stand against them, you kill them. You want like other countries to get involved. Who other countries to get involved? America, the strongest country in the world, is being cocked. But they're being dragged by the balls. They can't do anything because their politicians are being openly bribed by that regime, right? This is the strongest fucking country in the world, and they cannot do anything. And every time and then you have a slap on the, oh, Trump, look, Israel shouldn't do this. And they do it every, you know how many times Biden, quote unquote, like stopped the arms like shipment, and then they continued? This is all performative, man. This is all performative. All of these like bullshit statements from politicians that doesn't do anything while the killing is happening. You understand? So this is where you're actually like, why is like other countries are not involved? They tried to get involved, and guess what?
To be fair, it's not easy to come to terms with the fact that we are the bad guys in all this. It changed my whole world. I know. That's like the last hang up. There's two hang ups in this conversation that Americans cannot contend with. Number one, the scary Muslim barbaric rapist hordes are actually just simply operating on a totally understandable human desire of emancipation. And they're not just like reacting violently because they have like unlimited Jew hatred. Okay. That's number one. Most Americans simply cannot go above that point. They'll say what Israel's doing is horrible, it's violent, it's monstrous, but then also they'll always turn around and go, but Hamas, but Hamas, but Hamas, but Hamas. Okay, which is always like giving Israel permission to behave in the ways that it does. Maybe if it just like scales back the atrocity, you can just kind of look the other way and it's fine, right? It's not fine. The conditions that set up October 7 is not fine, okay? That's number one. Number two is America's involvement in this. America's involvement in this is so significant that we are the bad guys in this. Like, we just are. If you consider what Israel is doing to be a genocide and you think it's bad, then you either think American politicians are being bullied into submission and refusing to respond to their own populations, own voters, because like there's a Jewish mind control or something, or you recognize that American politicians actually like what's going on and don't care about the atrocities. I'm a believer in the second thing, not the first. I don't think it's a secret Jewish mind control or Jewish blackmail or anything like that. Jew this, Jew that, okay? It's America's own personal investment in the region and how much of a formative role Israel plays in that design. Have they allowed Israel to basically take over and direct American foreign policy in the Middle East? Absolutely. I would say that it accelerated after Barack Obama. I think Trump 1 was the definite kickstart of like Israel grabbing onto the wheel and just moving the car around. Because people point to like George W. Bush, neocons, certainly, right? That was a lot of Israeli influence. There was a scale back from that in the Obama administration. But of course, our commitment to Israel was still solid, make no mistake. But Donald Trump accelerated that process so dramatically. Like, I think previous Republican and Democrat administrations would have most likely pulled the plug on all of this a long time ago. Not even for, how are you so sure there isn't any blackmail element to this? No, make no mistake. There is a blackmail element to this, but it's not as significant as you think. If you think that Israel or Mossad has literally piss tapes or sex tapes of every single American congressperson, you're out of your mind. No, that's not the case. There is plenty of blackmail that takes place for one reason or another. I'm not even like, and bribery takes place as well. Lobbying is obviously significant, but it's a combination of everything. It's a combination of all of that. But the most important factor here is the allowance that we have given Mossad to even operate on U.S. soil, or the allowance that we've given Israeli officials to operate on U.S. soil with impunity. That is not because of the blackmail. That is because of Israel's position as an incredibly important asset in America's foreign policy. Israel's position historically as an incredibly important asset as an anti-Soviet destabilizer at a time when pan-Arabic nationalism was taking root in this region, a region that was very important for trade, a region that was also resource rich with oil. Okay, that's it. If Israel as a unsinkable aircraft carrier in a resource rich region was not such an important part of America's initiative for the resource that runs the planet, okay, then we would not have allowed agencies to like even operate inside of America, or we would not have allowed Israel to have a sophisticated propaganda network that operates with no repercussions, with no pushback whatsoever on U.S. soil and in the Western world in general. That's it. I've said this before with the NRA. People love to point to the NRA to say that the NRA is the most powerful lobby in America. It's like the NRA is the reason why we have, no gun control. It's like there's truth to this, for sure. The NRA, first and foremost, is interested in conveying the profit incentives that the gun manufacturers have, and making sure that American politicians never step out of line. However, the NRA or even other gun lobbyists are not the reason why American politicians are so pro-gun. Okay, America is pro-gun, and therefore the NRA is there to kick in with donations in times of importance when politicians feel like they have to respond, like in the aftermath of Sandy Hook. Okay, I remember I covered it. Like, there was, in the aftermath of Sandy Hook, Americans got together and there was a bipartisan bill that was pushed in Congress. Okay, it was, I think, Mike Crapo and the other guy, I forget who it is. Anyway, they put forward a bipartisan bill to universalize background checks. okay, to just like stop some of these loopholes. Yes, in 2013, I was literally at the Young Turks. And there are videos of me from like 2014, 2015, even in 2016 where I talk about this issue specifically. You can go find them if you want. Anyway, I was doing research at the time. But listen, when Sandy Hook happened, people were shocked. Okay? People were horrified. It was the closest that we ever got to any sort of reasonable gun control, or at least like moving in the direction of reasonable gun control. There was a bipartisan bill that was put forward that was supposed to expand background checks and close some of these loopholes for background checks. There was a lot of appetite for this amongst the population. Even NRA card-carrying members themselves wanted an expansion on background checks. But the NRA, with all of its money, went to every single congressperson and told them, do not vote for this bill. That's what lobbying is there for. At times when the public the public gets very angry about a particular thing and demands change, and politicians are forced to respond to it. But then lobbyists come in and say, don't do that. You're not supposed to do that. You can't do that. We gave you a lot of money. That's what lobbying is there for. It's there for that. It's there for writing legislation because politicians are lazy. They don't want to write it themselves. It's there for reading the legislation, you know. It's there to add additional provisions to legislation, like sneak it in. It's not universally there to like hypnotize politicians. And AIPAC works in a similar way. That's why you see sometimes congresspersons that don't get that much money from AIPAC that are still firmly committed to Israel. Why is that the case? You know?
They were called anti-Semitic. They were called Hamas. They had like UN workers being killed because they will tell you it's UNRWA, it is Hamas. It's just like it's so up, right?
It's very up.
Right.
But what I'm trying to understand, and what, in your opinion, how do we solve this? How do we have peace? Like everyone wants peace, but how do we?
How do you get peace?
Yeah.
You need to get back to the root of the problem. This is a genocidal country who's like basic, who's holding your politicians who have the power with the balls.
So what needs to be done? Well,
you need to vote those people out. Right, that's the I know it's not, you don't have an immediate thing, but you have like
you're saying American politicians out?
Yeah. Do you need to vote them out because these? Why would you vote?
Every American politician's been loyal to Israel, though, right?
80% of
to the Israeli government.
What? Not Zoran. Yeah, no, Zoran. Yeah, Zoran is not. He's one of the few. Imam Dani. Yeah, like he's the few. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. If you actually stand against the tide and you say like, I'm not going to be loyal to a foreign country, being called anti-Semitic, it's crazy, right? It's like, how do you feel as an American when 80% of your representatives, all of your mayors, most of your governors are loyal to a foreign country? In any other scenario, you will call that treason. Right? So you see, and I'm sorry that I don't have an immediate like answer for how to fix this because this is happening because other things has been happening for years. If you have the strongest presidents in the world being blackmailed by pedophile files, this is crazy, man. This is crazy, right?
Fuck. Yeah.
So I understand like the heat that you got as kids. I'm sorry, you're not kids. As young men.
Yeah.
Like at least you are like, but you are not an American politician who have been paid to be a traitor. Your biggest mistake that you were not prepared, that you were not informed, and you didn't do enough effort in order to inform yourself. That's a big mistake. But I honestly, this dwarfs next to the daily treason that we see with American politicians that allows this to happen, that goes into the media and launder Israeli crimes. This dwarfs next to those media people who are just mouthpieces of propaganda like Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, Megyn Kelly, all of those, right? These are like 100% propaganda pieces for a foreign country. You have been betrayed by your politicians, by your media, by many of your influencers because they are being paid. Right? So as much of a stupid stuff that you have done, for me, in my book, you guys, like, at least you are now seeing what you're happening and you're trying to make sense out of it and you're trying to educate yourself. And I hope you would go on. I don't want you to say like, oh, we got to go back and doing stupid shit. Guys, you need to be more involved, at least educated, right?
Yeah.
Right. And I think maybe other influencers will see this as like, okay, the next time I get this invitation from Israel, no, I know what I'm stepping into, because it's not just like an innocent trip. It is not just innocent propaganda.
Nothing's free, right?
What? Nothing is free, ya habibi. Nothing is free, right? So it's
right?
it is so and again I'm not coming here. I told you before, guys, and I know I just like be straight. Like those guys were scared shitless when I told them I would do it live. I gain nothing from destroying you. I gain nothing from dunking on you, right? I would actually rather deal with you as my younger brothers to understand what has been happening in front of your eyes all of that time, and maybe in the future you will make something out of it.
I'm glad it wasn't me that did this and it was Bassem Youssef that did this, because if I was this nice, my audience would be stabbing me, and every other charlatan would be online being like, Hasan was so nice because he loves Steiny. He actually probably secretly got paid by Israel. Although I learned everything I did about this conflict from Hasan, I am far more radical than he is now, and therefore I know he should have went there. He should have went there and given Steiny a Hamas banner, and because he didn't do that, he's morally bankrupt.
Whether you learn or not is going to be up to you from now on.
Shit's dark.
That's just dark, man.
Do you ever get scared talking about this stuff?
Yeah. Well, I've got canceled. I have many of my shows being canceled.
We need 24-hour security after this one.
No. Good. It's just know which is crazy. Also, you are American. You're Canadian, and you're living in the West with the free world, the freest country in the world, and you have to worry about speaking about a foreign country. It's crazy, man. It's dark. And listen, I need to address this because
I was already harder than
I feel for you.
Bassem was to them, and people were still like, you're not being mean enough.
Right. And I think we should I want you to actually talk and talk about how difficult it is for you being because I'm sure there are friends from you've already been hated by one side, but there are people from your friends, your immediate community who are actually or already angry. You said many times, there's nothing for me to gain from this. You said this many times, and I want you to give you the space in order to just talk about this too.
Yeah, I just think the lack of education and stepping into something so serious was probably a mistake.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, even since the Netanyahu interview, just the amount of stuff I've tried to consume, it really drains. It's really draining. And the issue that I'm having too is when you do your research, everything, it's just so opposite. So
yes.
You're consuming from both sides, and it's just which one do I believe?
Exactly.
And
so
I think that's a problem.
I don't think there's. I mean, to step in there with Netanyahu, it wouldn't have been even something in a week. I think in our position, that's you got to be super qualified to do that, and I understand that.
But also, you see, what you have said is very important. That the amount of information, that the conflicting information. So instead of going, that's why I chose this. I instead of telling you this is wrong because. And this is wrong because there's evidence. Instead of providing evidences, how do you deal with narcissistic psychopathic behavior? You block them. You know that everything that comes out of their mouth is a fucking lie. I just showed you that they have bribed our politicians. They harbor pedophiles. They have killed American soldiers. They have done so much bad. They have lied so many times. So there is no reason for you to believe anything that comes out of their mind, right? Okay, let me say this in the mic. So in order to provide this, and I think this is something that you can actually help in, there's going to be a button where click for people having sources.
Are we going to have it in the description?
Yeah.
Right,
including Jewish historians, Israeli historians, so people don't say they're biased, who talk actually about the conflict and what Israel have done to those people from a Jewish point of view who were fair, right? So you wouldn't say just like the Arabs doing it's not Hamas propaganda, right?
Yeah, because no